All righty, so it is 6:30, so I will call the meeting to order. Is this working? Number 2 on our agenda is public comments. Not seeing any members of the public, we will skip public comments. Number 3 is agenda review.
Can we add information to the agenda?
Sure.
And we will need non-public under B, C, and J.
Okay. All right, anybody else? We're all set? Okay. I'm going to add a 4A for informational. Number 4, we have minutes of the previous meeting on January 6th.
Move to adopt the minutes.
I know, I don't know if these are,
You're on.
they are.
Move to adopt the minutes of January 6th.
I'll second.
Okay. Any question or comments on the meeting minutes from January 6th? Okay. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January 6th, say aye. Aye. All right, so moving along to 4A, we have informational.
Seems like it's working. All right, just a couple things that I added into the drive. Dr. Hall, our assistant superintendent, had shared at the last MBC meeting a flyer from the New Hampshire Special Education Administrators Association. They put together like a little information pamphlet each year about some of the big topics in special education. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys also had a copy of that. You don't need to do anything with it. It's just shared for informational purposes. And then
Jess, this is publicly available. That
Correct.
flyer, so if
Yep.
you decide
sure.
social media just to make sure everyone gets, redundantly hit with the right information. Okay.
Correct. And then I shared in your drive a communication from the town planner, Carolyn. So that's in there as just an FYI around planning board application that came through. I don't need any action on any of it.
Okay,
Letting you know.
thank you.
And I mean, it's only a 2-family.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we're not looking at another San Ken Homes up there in the corner.
Okay, good. Yep. All right, moving on to 5. A, we have open enrollment.
All right. So a couple of things. I mean, obviously we have our meeting next Tuesday. So that will be coming up. I am not sure if you guys want to do anything different for presentation materials, or if you want me to just use the slides that I already prepared for the public hearing, or if you want additional information prepared for the public tomorrow or for next week. And if you want to deliver that, or if you want me to deliver it, because usually we have time to present information. So just looking to kind of button up some details for next week.
Would it make, forgive me if you did this and I didn't see it in any kind of revised format. Would it make sense to just sketch out what we would need to budget for next year if, for instance, we were mandated to allow outflow of like 3%, right? Just so that people understand that that's an additional line in the budget and that's an increase in the tax rate. I don't know.
Yes.
Yep. I know Melanie had already kind of put some stuff together, and I think we'll
Yeah.
kind of review some of the financial information
Yeah.
in non-public, and before we put that out, just to make sure our numbers are
Sure,
accurate.
right.
But yes, I think that would probably be a wise.
I think it's
Yeah.
important. I
I
think
agree.
that there's sort of like an understandable sense of like, oh, well, this feels like it should be a good idea, but
Yeah.
it actually costs a lot of money. And maybe down the line you entertain that and build it into the budget, but right now, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be great if we could show, if she could run numbers on like 1%, 3%, 5%, just so we could compare those numbers and that the public can see what that looks like, because it's really hard to conceptualize.
It is.
Yeah, and there's going to be a little bit of gray area no matter what, because
Right.
it's undeterminable how much the tuition will likely be, because I think an added level of something that we need to consider is that the Senate Bill 101 got moved forward today, which is making open enrollment universal across the state. So, and that's headed to the House right now. It got approved by the Senate, I believe, if I have my facts right. It's moving to the House, where the House will determine if they're going to move it forward to the governor for signature or not. So depending on how fast that moves, we may have a decision sooner rather than later around what the parameters of open enrollment will look like at the state level.
And again, kind of piggybacking on what Ken said, I may have missed that in your presentation. So if you did discuss it, please excuse me. But if we could kind of explain the 80%
Yep.
Tuition, people seem to think that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
That it's a
definitely not a discount.
that it's a discount, and also that the other 20% is
Comes
made
from
up
us.
by the taxpayers, the Pembroke taxpayers.
Yes, I will clarify that. And just so you all definitely have that understanding, that 80% is not a discount, because we have to pay 80% currently as the law currently stands, not necessarily where it's moving forward, but we have to pay 80% of our tuition plus still cover the bottom line budget for kids that we anticipated to be here. And so if we have less kids here and are bringing less kids in, the cost per pupil raises.
Correct.
And we still have to cover that bottom line. And you're now paying tuition for somebody that you did not plan for it's almost like out of district tuition. Essentially, you are still paying for your bottom line dollar budget here to adequately educate all the kids that are still here, but then you're also paying 80% of your tuition on top of that for a student to go somewhere else. So it is at no means is that a cost saving factor.
Yes, I think that's a really good comparison that will be useful for people.
Yeah.
If you use that.
And we can talk too, like when I was working on the numbers and stuff, you can only really sort of estimate if it's a Pembroke kid leaving, right? You can't really say if you have X amount of kids from other towns here. All their
Yeah,
tuition rate is
yeah,
different, so it's really hard to.
The key would be
Just
have
an
to make
approximate.
some sort of aggregate of what 80% of an outflow tuition would look like on 3% of.
We could at least say this is
Put it
what it
on
would be with a Pembroke kid.
But the people need to understand too, when we go to make a budget,
Yeah,
we can't plan on a single child coming in. Like we cannot
Exactly.
anticipate any revenue
Yeah.
there.
you got that right.
So
At least for year one, right? If after year one, if we have kids, maybe we can,
yeah,
but it's
Like-
still not a
but
guarantee.
you wouldn't want to bank on
Correct.
anything.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. You still have
Yeah.
to cover your bottom line
Yep.
budget no
Yeah.
matter what,
You do.
because you have to plan for all kids to be
There's,
here.
there's no world in which this doesn't increase the budget. Like just, so.
I think that was all I had.
And then
for open
I'm
enrollment,
good-
unless you have other things.
We can add those few slides and I'll be around too. And then I'm good. Whatever you want to do. If you want to present it, if you want me to present half of it and then you do half of it and help answer whatever the board wants. I don't care. Whatever.
I mean, you did the presentation last
Yeah.
week, yes, right? So, dry run, I guess.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
And then you guys like cut me off and jump in whenever.
Yeah.
It allows us to kind of like,
Yeah, we have no problem answering questions or
Yeah.
helping support that.
Please do. You know I like to talk. Yeah, it's true. Shared. The only other thing with open enrollment is we did have a community member send an email to Carrie, Melanie, and I regarding some suggestions about open enrollment. So I had Lexi add that to the drive. And they were like, I think they were very thoughtful
Yep.
suggestions and things to keep in mind. So
Yep.
just make sure you read that if you haven't read it.
Thank you. Anything else on that before we move on? No? Okay. Yes. Oh, that's.
Yes. Yes, that's all set.
You're
We
planning on the auditorium, right?
Yeah, we're going to shift, even though like the initial public notice went out for the library, we will put up signage and have a point person to direct people to the auditorium, because there's, at first, I think we thought the library would probably be big enough, but with the increased interest online, particularly, I think we're going to have a bigger turnout than initially thought. So after meeting with some of the townspeople, like the keeper of the checklist, talking with them and the moderator, Melanie and I thought it would probably just be best to move it. I think we said 6:30.
We said it's going to start at 6:30. So if you guys want to come a little early, like we normally do, like 6:15 or so. And then feel free to grab a friend if you guys see somebody to help point them to the auditorium. All right. So we'll move on to B, the warrant articles.
I just put it on here to make sure that you guys didn't have any last minute additions. The MBC will be, I think they plan on making some decisions this week regarding our proposed warrant articles. So that should be coming forward and we can button some things up.
We need to vote on the last one, right?
The last one.
The retainage.
Oh, yes. The retainage. Thank you. We did. That's why we needed to make sure that this was on here. So I had forgotten to add this. We
I
had
forgot
talked about it months ago. But the last warrant article, you guys had expressed some interest in adding the ability to set aside some retainage at the end of the year. And then retainage, just so you know, if you do set a retainage amount, that number automatically goes back to the taxpayers if not used by the end of the school year. It does not have the ability to get put into trust funds.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have any questions or comments? All the other towns in SAU 53 already have it. We're the last one.
And this is distinct from both any kind of warrant article, either established or fund already for trust funds. And it's also distinct from any kind of thing like we did earlier this fall, where we encumber funds prior to whatever that date is, October,
Yes.
whatever.
Correct.
Right? So we would still have the ability to encumber things even over and above the 5% retainage.
You can if there's money left aside, because you have to set your retainage amount in the spring before the end of the school year
Sure.
for the next year. And so you as a
But
board have to vote
the
on
5%
that.
retainage, I guess what I'm asking is you wouldn't calculate what the 5% is until after the books are closed.
No, you do it before.
Okay.
Because if there's not that amount left for retainage, you would only be able to go up to whatever amount that you have left. So say if you wanted to put in 200,000 in retainage, but you only had 85,000 left at the end of the year, you can only put in 85,000. Our books don't actually
Okay,
close
so
until
I wanna make sure.
August-ish.
Yeah.
No, that I understand. I'm thinking. All right, I'm just trying to think of like the cadence of like what happens first and then second. In terms of, let's say it's mid-August, and we know we've got a certain amount and whatever we know that there's 5% there in retainage that we can keep. But if there was something else that we wanted that would have, if we've got more money left, basically, right? That there was some other kind of large item there, that we would encumber that first and not have it hit the 5% retain.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if there was some kind of event where like a roof failed and
Yeah,
we didn't
like
have that
something
covered in a trust
catastrophic,
fund,
yes,
catastrophic, and we needed to put that in
Or a bill
this
from
year's
healthcare.
budget or yes. So
Right.
the healthcare one would be a little bit different because we didn't know about that till later. So if we had the same situation, like picture we have the same exact situation this year in next year,
Right.
if we had retainage, we could then just utilize retainage to cover that
Sure.
cost instead of the, kit and caboodle of
Yeah.
things that we had to do to get
Yeah.
to that point. So it makes it a little bit easier to access those funds. But ultimately it would come from the same pocket.
Sure. Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just makes it a little bit easier because you have that there. And it's a guarantee to go back to the taxpayer if it's not
don't
used.
Yeah.
And the intention is that you don't use it just for, regularly budgeted items. You use it for unplanned things in case of an emergency, like the healthcare thing or like a structure failure for whatever reason.
I know we talked about it a long time ago and then I remembered. I think we were all in agreement that we should try to get that on the warrant article so that we have it like everybody else does. I don't know. Opinions, questions? No? Okay. We need to vote on it. Okay.
You should.
Okay.
I mean,
It's the only thing we didn't vote on.
yeah, you can vote on it. If anything, we may end up taking the vote off if it doesn't qualify, because usually you don't put votes on non-monetary warrants. So
Oh,
the warrants, so like warrants to establish a trust fund or a warrant,
right.
like if we were doing open enrollment on this warrant, like you wouldn't vote necessarily on that warrant. I mean, you can vote, it just wouldn't end up on the
Right.
actual warrant at town meeting. The monetary ones,
Budget committee would see our vote.
correct.
That might be used.
So it's right. So you can add
No.
your vote in. It just may not end up being on the final draft
Oh,
of
okay.
everything.
Well,
And
we did do it on, in case
did
open
vote on the
enrollment
other one,
failed,
so.
we did do it on 3.
that's right. Yeah, I think you guys voted on all of them.
Yeah.
We just will likely clean up because I don't think your vote goes on ones that are non-monetary, but it is helpful for NBC.
Okay.
Yep. And where you didn't have this warrant on before, it would be good for you guys to have a formal vote adding it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So we can do that. Article number 15, shall the Pembroke School District vote to authorize indefinitely until rescinded the retention of any unused portion of the year-end unassigned general funds in an amount not to exceed in any fiscal year 5% of the current fiscal year's net assessment in accordance with RSA 198 4B. Do I do just all in favor? Huh? Oh, common, no, yeah, Roman numeral 2. We don't have to do a roll call, right? No. Okay, all in favor of adding this to the warrant article number 15, say aye. Aye.
Put your formal vote for whether you would recommend or not recommend.
Yeah.
Made a
Yeah.
motion, so now we need a second.
Yeah.
Second that.
And we're doing is that what you're doing?
Just this one, because you already did all the rest.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
All those in favor of recommending warrant article number 15, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
before 0, but that's because Jean's not here. Okay. So that's all you needed on the warrant articles, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think so. All right. Moving on to 5C, the 26-27 budget.
I don't necessarily have anything to add. I know, I believe the NBC is looking to make their final decisions this Thursday. So I just wanted on here for discussion if there were any immediate things we need to take care of.
I just was wondering if you could, because I didn't make last week's meeting, if you could just kind of give a summary of, I know Andra was there and I just kind of
Yeah, so it was actually the last couple of meetings have been a really good like question and answer session with the NBC. They've had a lot of great informational questions, procedural questions. Last week was really just a focus on special education information. So review of numbers of identified students, what's the percentage of kids in out of district placements, what are some procedures and practices we're putting in place to eventually save us some costs in special education as far as the reactive piece. Not that we're looking to eliminate any services for kids with disabilities, but trying to do better about beefing up our earlier interventions so that we don't have more extraordinary costs as they get older. So it really was just a really good question answer session with the NBC.
So I did think of something with the budget, as far as concerning, because we're going to have a budget vote. As far as educating the public, I was wondering if Amy could put something together where she could, and I think she kind of did it in the pie charts that she created, but if she showed the increase in budget minus the health insurance costs, just what the administrative costs and staff and personnel costs are, and what those increases have been over the last few years, because I think there is a assumption that those numbers have been going up a lot, where we do know that the health insurance is really driving a lot of that increase. But I think if we could visually show that to the public, I think that would be informative when we do go to vote on the budget.
And,
We will put something together.
sharing also the bottom lines of our first couple of passes at this, where we, planned at 15% thinking that that was going to be high because it's never been that high.
Right.
And it,
Yeah.
Amber was talking about 8 to 12, which is still pretty high.
Yeah.
Still way past inflation, but we planned on 15 thinking that we would come in at 12 and it came in at 30. And I think if people just kind of see that, these ultimately, now you're going to get the whole, well, who pays for what portion of it, but that's contractual
Yeah.
and we're locked in and we need to end that charade pretty quickly. But
I don't have any questions on the budget, but I did, now that I'm thinking about it too, I did want to mention, is there interest sometime in February? I know everybody's really busy, to doing one of our online where we like booked the library and invited people to come, but also had like the online going at the same time, just a question and answer session of the budget before the public hearing.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, do like a little.
Participate in that.
I forgot what we
Yeah.
called it. We called it an informational session, I think.
Yeah,
There's, open forum.
Open forum.
Yeah.
open forum. That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I-
in February.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Do you
I think
want to
it's
just do it
helpful.
at your February 17th meeting? I think that's what you did last year. Is you had it
We had one.
the same
like,
night
We did.
as a board meeting, but just changed location. Because we did it in the library. Is that what you said? Right? We did
We did
library.
one in the library.
There were a couple. There were a couple
There
that
were
we
a
did
couple.
last year.
We did one here and we did one in the library, Pembroke Library.
And so, do you want to move your school board meeting on the 17th to the library if possible, and then do a public forum, and then just roll into the school board meeting after?
What date is the public? I have so much on my, it's the 5th. So the hearing's on the 5th.
Yep.
So that's good if we could fit it in after the public hearing, but before March.
Well, and that way you don't have to do like another night and expect the
Exactly.
public to come out another night. But if you just did it that same night, we could start at the
That's
same
fine with
time,
me.
6:30.
We could even do it here.
Yeah, it's up
If
to you.
you
I think
wanted to.
I think last year, I think you guys decided on the library just to maybe have it not be at the school, right? Like a
Neutral, that's fine. We can call and see if it's available. Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Changing that second meeting to 17, and we'll do an open forum. And we can do the online option too. I'm sure somebody can help do that. I did it last year and kind of just monitored the chat. And then you could stop a little bit and ask an online question. People really found that valuable, people that couldn't come out. So we'll plan on that. Do we want to plan on 6:30 that we normally do? And I can call the library tomorrow.
All right, you'll do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anything else on the 26-27 budget? That's okay.
About the sessions, but
That, yeah. Go ahead and percolate. That's fine.
Yeah.
I did have one thing, if you guys don't mind me adding, because I totally forgot. I think I briefly talked about it before, but I did want to tell you that this Thursday is when New Hampshire Fair Funding's coming in. They're going to be featuring Pembroke as their school of spotlight. And they just did Summersworth. And what they did was they talked about the challenges of the budget process and everything going on with public education, but they really focused on the positive things that are going on in the buildings. So the person who does that is coming on Thursday, and Jess and I are going to meet with the principals and walk around the school. And there's going to be a write-up that's going to hit on January 29th. The only thing they ask from us is once we see it is to push it out on our Facebook page, push it out to people you know. So that's what they're doing, is they're focusing on a school district every month, and they're going to do ours this month. So I just wanted you guys all to be aware of that. I'm excited. I think it'll be really good.
That reminded me, the NBC was interested in taking a tour of our schools. And throughout February 10th, I met with the principals today, and they were fine with that and on board with that. So if you guys want to hop in and join the NBC on February 10th, that's certainly an option.
Yeah.
I will let you know for sure what times.
Yeah.
But it will likely be in the morning. That's usually kind of the best time for kids. It causes least disruptions.
Yep.
Is in the morning.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Great. I'm glad they're doing that. Thank you to the principals for allowing that. All right, I'll move on to number 6, consent agenda.
So there was a transportation request in the drive. Not sure if you guys were able to look through that real quick, but Linda was hoping that to get your stamp of approval and vote on the newly suggested bus runs for the pink bus in the afternoons. Well, pink, orange, and red.
Pink, orange, and it's in there.
Yeah, she reminded me to add it this morning. So I added it this morning.
So what exactly are they trying to do? They're just trying to free up a little bit of space in the
I
afternoon.
think the afternoon run was getting a bit crowded. So she was looking to kind of just shuffle kiddos
Okay.
around and make sure it was not too packed on any one bus.
Okay.
Orange and red. Yep. Yeah, there's no significant stop changes. It's just the bus runs themselves that are being adjusted. She put those in bold on
Yep.
the
Saw that.
bus run list.
No. Any questions? No.
we need
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you
do.
need a formal vote because it's amending the votes.
to approve the.
I'll second it. Any other question on the proposed bus route changes? Okay. All those in favor of approving the bus route changes as proposed, say aye. Aye. All right, number 7, policies.
We're going to finally do these.
Yep.
Just gotta get the what's here. Yeah, because some of the things are back in the last minutes folder. But the ones that we need to. I'll give you my thoughts, Sharon. I don't know. We haven't talked about. We probably have some thoughts on it. I mean, they look fine to me. There's nothing. I have. They're not questions. I guess they're questions. About what the hell did it go? Oh, there we go. The foreign exchange student one was the one that you mentioned, Jess, that investors eager to get.
Yes, we've had foreign exchange students for many years. We just have never had a policy to support the practice of it. And with him coming in new, that definitely was some gray area that he didn't feel was comfortable.
So this is interesting because this is not a new policy at all from the school. This is
Correct.
dated 2005.
Yes.
And I just want to clarify, there's no updated anything. Okay.
Nope.
The one little flag I had on this, I don't know how much of a flag it is, but it's a little loose, I think, with the words shall and may. And I don't know what that means. It could mean nothing, probably means nothing. It's just a nothing burger. But
So there is a difference between shall and may.
that I know.
Yeah.
But I just don't know why it's a little slippery with it. And it being a 21-year-old policy, sure, all of that was thought through. So the first one under purpose, the board shall admit foreign exchange students into the schools.
Mhm.
That seems as though it gives the school or the board no choice in the matter. Don't know if that's exactly what we want. And then under authority, the board shall accept who meet established guidelines, which is a question I also have. Where are those? Are those the general guidelines for admission? Are they a different set of guidelines? I'm
Mhm.
not sure where that lands. And then the one right below that, the board may accept exchange students on a J1 visa who reside in the district. That feels like a legally different kind of thing. But then you shall accept on an F1 visa. So it's just like
Yeah, those are just two different types of visas, but yeah.
They are, but
Yep.
I'm not clear why they're different, I guess is what I'm saying. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but
So the foreign exchange students usually come through an organization.
Yep.
They don't
yes.
just come on their own, which is a good thing. And the organizations are usually the ones who establish the guidelines for admission into each state, right? And then each school district sets our own admission guidelines. But creating this policy essentially allows us to waive the residency piece because they're on a visa. I think the J1s are a work visa, if I'm not wrong. I think J1s are a work visa. And so I think if a student takes up a job, that I think is just delineating the difference between the two visas, between the F1 and the J1. But ultimately, I think if you want to change both shalls to may, I don't know that you're going to, degrade the policy as
No,
its
because
purpose.
also then it says the board reserves the right to limit the number of foreign exchange students admitted to the school. So there's incongruity in my mind. And this may just be my own,
And we only have a couple. It's not like we've got like 20 foreign
I
exchange
understand
students
that.
banging down
I
our
understand
door.
that.
So
I get a little nervous when I see language like shall. Is that's firmer than maybe I would want it to be for future boards, right? And future schools. That's just my own thought on it.
The only thing I had on that is I worry about, it says group sponsored exchange programs approved by the board.
It's under authority.
Under authority. Does the SAU approve those? Because I don't think we've had any group sponsored exchange programs come before the board. I don't know if we want that to say the board. Does the SAU do that? It's the second one.
I don't know. I've never seen a request come through for group sponsored exchange programs. Usually it's by family sponsored, not group
Right.
sponsored. So I don't know that we want to deny it, but I haven't had the experience or do I know of that we've had the opportunity to even engage with group sponsored exchange. So I think it leaves it open for discussion. If that comes up, I'd definitely want to know more about it before we agree to anything like that. But at least it gives you the opportunity
Okay.
to even entertain it, really.
Melanie, is your question like when it says the board?
Yeah.
Which board are we talking? I mean, I think our presumption is anytime that language is used, it's just
This
us.
board.
This
Right.
Yes.
That's what I'm,
So yeah, I don't know of any group sponsored exchange programs that have been approved by us or
okay. That's what I was
have come
curious.
before us in any manner. So, but if there ever is, I mean, maybe that's something we could entertain, or you can entertain. Yeah, I think it's fine to move the shalls to may.
I would feel more comfortable for the first time we're adopting something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I
we
would certainly
should.
feel more comfortable
Mhm.
with that.
And the families still have to abide by our
Correct.
residency requirements and things like that
Yeah.
are hosting these foreign exchange students. So I want to make sure that that's out there clearly, that the families that are hosting
Mm-hmm.
have to abide by all the rules that any other student would have to abide by. This just allows us to even engage with some of these organizations because they do make us sign contracts
Right.
to admit these students. So not necessarily monetary ones, but permitting their entrance.
And can I also ask, it says the period of attendance shall not exceed 12 months. Is that, if that is rooted in some kind of state law or is that in the visa, regulations?
I think it has to do with the visa regulations. Yeah.
12 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know the specific language of it, but I know
Okay.
they cannot exceed more than one school year at a
Okay.
time.
Okay. Just didn't know if that had changed in 21 years.
That's stricter.
Yeah. Okay. That's, yeah. So I would personally just recommend adopting this, changing the word shall to may under purpose and under the first line in authority. Under authority, the board shall accept. Change that to may. And the third provision under authority, the board shall accept privately sponsored. I would change that to may as well.
And there's someone, yeah.
The other
Just
shalls,
change the shalls to,
yeah, some of the shalls don't impact like the
Yeah.
last one, but
Mhm.
those three.
any other questions or edits for JFABB?
You need a second. Ken made a motion.
Oh, I didn't hear him make a motion.
Sorry, I second.
Okay. Didn't hear it. All right. Any other questions? Good. Okay. All those in favor of approving JFABB foreign exchange students, say aye.
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 The other one?
There's a DN. I think we're fine to move. I had met with Josh a while back about any of his concerns regarding that. So I think we are okay to move forward with that. You guys had already reviewed some of the edits that he had suggested.
Motion to approve policy DN, equipment and supply sales.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor of approving DN equipment and supply sales, say aye.
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 It's a lot longer. There's a lot more to it. I mean, I feel like it's fine, like in that sense. Because I think it does a better job lining up with existing law, which has also evolved. that was my other question though, like this policy last reviewed in 2019. I'm always skeptical of pre-COVID regulations because
It lines up with the current McKinney-Vento rules. We had already looked at it.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. And are we, I don't have a preference on this. Is homeless the nomenclature proper for this now? I wonder about other regulations that may have come through with a different
So
label.
this is the language of the law.
Okay.
So it's fine to
Okay.
keep that. But yes, there's housing
This is
insecurity,
unhoused.
unhoused.
Is it,
There's a couple different terms.
yeah, yeah. Okay. But this is still consistent with law.
Yes, correct.
Change it later, I suppose. All right. I'm okay with it then. So I would move to
Okay.
adopt JFABD.
Second.
Any other edits or questions on that? No. All those in favor of approving JFABD, admission of homeless children and unaccompanied youth, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yay. Exactly. All right, moving on to number 8, we have public comments and have no members of the public, so we can skip number 8.
Oh, I have
Yes.
something that I forgot. Are you okay if I add an
Yes.
informational thing real quick?
Absolutely.
Wendy at the Hill School, the principal at the Hill School, is currently in communications with a company that offers before and after school childcare services. It's called Champions, and it's under the umbrella of KinderCare, who's been around for a long time. So very trustworthy name in the world of before and after school care. So she is working with them to try to get some programming for our kiddos between 6:45 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and after school from 2:20 to 5:30 p.m. and during breaks or early releases or anything like that. And it's super reasonable prices. The chart that she had shared with me looks like they would charge families per week no more than $35 per week for the before or after school care. And then the after school care, the 2:20 to 5:30, is no more than $95 a week. And then care during a break, like a full week, like summer break, would be $230 per week. And then they also have a sliding scale for people with financial difficulties. So they will work with families to reduce that cost if need be, but super reasonable cost for childcare. And extending that to our families would be a huge benefit for those who've got more difficult work schedules.
Is that a service offer at the school?
Yeah, so basically they cover everything. They staff it, they take care of all the supplies, snacks, all that. We don't do anything other than basically let them rent our space. So, and provide that service for our families. We don't have anything to do with the charging, the paying, the hiring of the employees. They're insured, they have to meet the background check requirements, things like that. But they take care of it all.
They have a minimum number that they offer the service?
I don't think so. They work with, from what I gather, they work with the principal to set like a tentative max at first, just to kind of get it rolling. So I think they more focus on how many is their cap versus how many are allowed in. So
Just wondering, like, I can't imagine only 5 families wanting it, but if they only had a few families, would they still, like, what minimum number
Yeah,
of attendees?
I'm not sure if they have like an actual minimum, but that's something I can follow up with Wendy about.
That's fantastic, though. That's something we've needed.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, before non-public 2, I just want to say that the Pembroke special meeting, district meeting, is Tuesday, January 27th at 6:30 p.m. and it will be held in the Pembroke Academy Auditorium. The snow date is February 3rd at the same time and same place. And the board does have the need to go into non-public under NHRSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, under the letters B, C, and J. B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. C, matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the board. And J, consideration of confidential, commercial, or financial information. On a roll call vote to go into non-public at 7:15 PM. Ken,
Yes.
Carrie, Sharon, and I'm a yes.